All right, so this is going to be a little bit different, but I have to do this now for a very specific reason. So this, what I'm touching, this is the ZT0452CF. And my thoughts on this knife have changed from literally the first day I got it, which was actually only like 5 days ago, to now. And there are a lot of things that I might have actually said negatively about this knife the day that I got it that are no longer relevant to this knife. That's a separate video. However, the point of saying this is that this situation has kind of inspired me to put out a first impressions video for any knife that I receive. Literally first impressions the day that I receive it. It's off the cuff. It's not about listing the specs or going into deep detail. It's about how I feel about the knife literally within the first 24 hours of owning it, so that hopefully you can get an idea of what you should expect and what you might end up considering when you're thinking about buying this knife. However, I need to emphasize, this is first impressions. There are things that have changed about this knife within, gosh, what time is it right now? It's 10 o'clock. I got home at like 4. Within 6 hours of using this knife, things have changed in terms of my opinion or literally how it mechanically operates. There's a break-in period, but that's part of what we're going to talk about. So we're going to get my baby out of the frame for the most part. This is the CRKT CEO, inspired by Ken Rogers, or I guess not inspired, designed by. Not sure if he had a prototype that was similar to this or if he literally just said, hey, I'm designing this. This is the knife. You know, there you go. Some things I will say. So first thing I want to say, if we look at the lockup here, we're at about 50%. Straight out of the box, this lockup was literally dangerous. It was 0 to 5%. If I didn't aggressively flip the knife open, I could actually, without even touching it, I could just fold it back closed because it basically just wasn't locking up. Just after playing with it for a little bit, I didn't do anything crazy to it. I didn't have to like tighten a screw or loosen a screw or anything. Just over the course of 6 hours, me casually playing with this and flipping it open a few times, I no longer have that issue. No matter how slowly I open it, even if I don't flick it open, I get lockup. So that might be something that you notice. The blade came perfectly centered. And that's almost not even exaggerating. If it was off of center, it would only be microscopic. I mean, imperceivable to the human eye. It was perfectly centered. It did come shaving sharp. I love that. One thing, the reason I'm keeping this knife open is because I don't want to open this with one hand right now. This cutout, let's get some focus here. This cutout is where the thumb stud rests. If you do not open this knife at the perfect angle, if you do not have the absolute perfect amount of force in the absolute perfect direction, it does not open. And it doesn't like kind of not open. I mean, it stays stuck. You have to flip this perfectly. And this really does align with a lot of the things that I've seen and heard about this knife on the internet. There are, again, this seems to be a common thing. People are saying, I can't open this knife. I cannot physically open this knife. I don't know how to open this knife. I would say something you shouldn't listen to are people who are saying the knife is unreliable. That's false, at least in my experience. It's not that the knife is unreliable, it's that you don't know how to open it properly. Now, I will give it this, or I will give that argument this. It's picky. It's particular. Again, if you don't open it perfectly, it is not going to open, period. So, That being said, at least right now, first impressions, I wouldn't use this for, say, self-defense purposes. If you're the kind of person who carries a knife strictly as a defensive tool, you need to practice. I mean, you can carry any knife you want for whatever purpose you want. But I cannot deploy this consistently. And it's really strange. Like, I'll get in the groove. I flipped it like 15 times in a row, and then I'll fail literally like 20 times in a row. I have actually, I don't want to open this right now. You see my thumb's kind of greasy. I've got some antibacterial ointment on there because I've actually put so much effort into trying to flip this knife open and flip it open that the skin is starting to separate from underneath my fingernail because of the force that I keep trying to apply, and I keep failing and failing and failing. That's something that you'll figure it out in time, right? I'm not saying the knife is bad because of that. I'm saying it's something that you need to learn. Definitely, you have to learn. However, while we're talking about the action, I have to say, I am so impressed with the action on this knife out of the box. It is honestly mind-blowing. I actually had to Google whether or not this was an assisted knife, because when you hit that angle right, when you flip it right, oh my God. I mean, they got the bearings in here. It's because it's a $40 knife that actually it's on bearings. There's a washer and there's bearings. I actually thought it was assisted. And that's how it is 100% of the time if you get the flip right. If you get the flip right, I mean, I'll honestly say it. It feels like it has a smoother action than the ZT when you do it right. The ZT is much easier to flip open. It's got a flipper tab. It's much more consistent. But man, this is by a mile the most satisfying knife I have ever flipped open. I can also drop shut it, and for the sake of the video, you've seen the blade enough. This is how it came, right? Here, let me focus. This is how it came out of the box. Yeah, it's not like buttery smooth, but it drops shut. It closes on its own. It's not so gritty. We've got this faux carbon fiber. Boy, this is really weird, because whatever this is made of, I don't think it's G10, but it is textured, and it's actually got a nice grippy texture to it. It's actually quite comfortable. I can't complain about this. I mean, it's good. It's just good. Some people complain about the fact that it is tip down only carry. It is tip down only carry, and it is not adjustable. This is where the clip is gonna be. So if you're really anal about moving the clip, too bad, so sad. This is how it is. But for those of you who aren't in the know, the reason they called this the CEO, and the reason it has the design and the aesthetic that it has, is because it was meant to be a gentleman's folder. And this tip down only carry, and very, very, very deep carry, the clip goes to the top of the knife. The thought in the design is actually they want this to go in a shirt pocket. They want this to be compatible, and they want to encourage putting this in a shirt pocket, more specifically a dress shirt pocket, a button-up pocket, or even a suit jacket pocket, kind of like something a CEO would probably have on all the time. So you might not like the clip, and you might not like its position, but understand what their purpose was when they built this knife. Yeah, it would be nice if they would have given you the option, because not everybody, carries it because they're a CEO or they wear a suit or a button up every day. But I can't fault them for staying true to what they intended when they were designing this knife. That's really all I've got for now. You might see, let me see. It is actually off center right now because I took it apart, and I did over tighten the pivot a little bit. That's fine. It just, if I back it off just a hair, it ends up being perfectly centered. Like I said, it came perfectly centered out of the box. But if you're not a knife nerd, you probably don't care about the centering anyways. And for a $40 knife, God, what do you expect? I mean, centering is just a bonus at that point. So that's all I have to say for now. First impressions, honestly, it's a little bit of a pain to flip right now. But man, like I said, that action, when you do flip it, it's pretty awesome. It feels good. The aesthetic is pretty awesome for what they set out. I think it fits very well in an office environment, in a dressy environment. And more importantly for me, it's the kind of knife, at the $40 price point, I don't really care if I lose it. I've never lost a knife, but that's always something when you've got a $250 knife in your pocket like this ZT, you're kind of thinking about the knife all day. You want to make sure you've got a handle on where my knife is, With this, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be heartbreaking if you lost this. You could easily replace it. It's just not that big of a deal. But yep, that's it. That's all I've got for now. I will check back in. Like I said, I'll probably do a full review with my thoughts, with things like the actual specs of the knife. Right now it's going on Amazon for actually like $32. Which is why I picked it up, because I'm like, well, it was cheap to begin with. The fact that I can get it even cheaper, why not? At $32, I would totally recommend this knife. It's not a hard use knife, but that's not what they built it for, so I'm not going to fault it for that. Anyhow, that's it for now. Hope this did something for you, and keep an eye out for the full review when I actually get to use the thing for more than 6 hours. All right, see ya.